Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are back with another exciting tutorial. So in this video we are going to talk about Kubernetes and Helm. So as part of this tutorial we will see how you can provision an application in Kubernetes using Helm. So we already spoke about Helm chart Kubernetes in my previous tutorial, so this will be a continuation of that. And we'll be able to understand all the topics what you require for an provisioning application using Helm in this video. So this will be a great tutorial for beginners, so keep watching till end of this tutorial. We already spoke in my previous tutorial on Helm Kubernetes, and I will also link the playlist for that in this video description, so you can check on that if you have not seen the basics of Kubernetes, basics of Helm, how to install Helm and all those things. But we'll cover some topic as a basics what you require in this tutorial, and then we will see like how you create an Helm chart, what it will be the configuration, how you can install a Helm chart, what are releases, what are rollback, what do you see in the value. So we'll talk about a lot of things in this tutorial, so wait for this complete tutorial to watch. So don't skip in between. You can watch till end of this tutorial, so you'll get a complete video information on this video. So let's get started. So before I get into that, I would request you, like if you are new to my channel or if you have not subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button. Also like my videos, give your feedback, give your suggestions in the comment box, and also if you have any feedbacks on Helm or what do you want to see in the future videos, just put it in the comment section. So I'm not going to talk much about Helm because I already covered in this previous tutorials, which, as I mentioned, I will link into this video description on Helm and the Kubernetes playlist. But just for your information, those who don't know what is Helm at all, so Helm is the package manager for Kubernetes. Just like other package managers, like in Linux you have yum package managers, app package manager, right? In Windows you have Chocolatey. Similar way in Mac you have Brew. Similar way in Kubernetes you have a package manager called Helm. So what is the benefit of this? Like, you don't have to create, or you don't have to use own scripts and all YAML files to create an application. You already have a customized bundle application available in a repository. You just use that package and you install it in the Kubernetes. So it's that pretty simple. So we will see in this tutorial how you can provision an application from your package using Helm from your repository. We will use WordPress as an application which will install it on your Kubernetes cluster. And in my previous tutorial, like if you have seen, like we have gone through few of these commands like Helm install, Helm search, Helm list, Helm upgrade, Helm delete, right? So all these commands we will see in this tutorial on practical, how you use these commands on your Kubernetes cluster, which will make use of it to install your Helm chart, and you will create a release, and what are the different versions it get released, where you will list down all the releases. You will upgrade the release, you can delete the whole release. So all those things we will talk about in this tutorial. So one thing you should know is, like there is a page called artifacthub.io. so this is the official page where you can get the Helm repository. This is a Helm repository where you can find all Helm applications like Helm releases. So Helm chart. So what you can do is you can search. So in here we are going to use WordPress. So I will search for WordPress. So you'll get the whole the applications available in this repository. This is similar like you have Docker Hub, right, where you search for Docker images, you will get all the images. So here you'll see all the charts available for Helm. So now you can see this Helm WordPress is from WordPress, and it's from user, whereas this one is Bitnami and the repo is Bitnami. So Bitnami is the official repository, or official Helm chart for WordPress. You can also go to your Kubernetes cluster and you can search for Helm search, and we are going to use repo and WordPress. So it will search in the repositories, and it will give you a list of the charts available. So for example, it's given two charts. One is from the Bitnami and this one is also Bitnami, because these are the official charts. So based as I mentioned, there will be other charts, so it's up to you which one you can use. Now if I go back and I click on this WordPress, it give me complete details on the WordPress chart, right? So it's tell me like how you need to add the repo, then you need to install the WordPress release chart so that it can create a release. So you can give a name for the release, so it can be my release or any other name, so it will create the release. So it given you the all detail. If you want to uninstall a chart, you just use Helm delete and the release name. So that's how. And if you see, there are a lot of global parameters, common parameters which you can use as part of this installation. So we will talk about this in later point, because once you create, after we create our the release, we will talk about what are the pods running, what are the configurations in there, and then we will see what these parameters help us to change. Now if you come to this part where you can see template, default values, value schema, before that let me go to my Kubernetes cluster. Now for this, doing all these things, as I mentioned, you need to have Helm installed on this Kubernetes cluster, and you also need to have a Kubernetes cluster setup. Okay, so otherwise you will not be able to install the Helm charts. So as I done all this setup before as part of my previous tutorial, you can follow that if you don't know how to install Helm as well. Now what I want to do is I want to create a simple chart. So I will use Helm create, and I want to give a name as my chart. Now if you see, I have a folder creator here called my chart, so I will go to my chart, and now you can see I will give tree. So the tree is not there, so I will install tree. So the tree command is installed, so now I will use tree. So what is the benefit of trees? Like you can see, it's a tree structure of your folder, right? So it's easy for you to see what all the contents of that folder. Now you can see it's giving us the details like charts and charts.yaml file, and the templates. There is a folder called template. Instead you have deployment.yaml, helper.tpl, hpa.yaml, increase nodes.text, service account YAML, right? Service.yaml, test folder have test connection.yaml, and there is a file called values.yaml. Now we will talk more about all these folders when we create our own Helm chart for one of our application, but in this tutorial I want to show what is the content of that. So now if I go to the actual application for our WordPress, it's also give you like templates. So inside the template you can see different kind of files like deployment.yaml, secret.yaml, and all those things what is put under this folder. Now here if you see, if I go to the deployment.yaml, you can see it's like a normal manifest file, but it have a lot of variables, like it's taking some dynamic values, and these values are coming from the file called values.yaml. So we can see there is a file called values.yaml, right? So this file will have a lot of content which will be used on all these files inside the templates. So that if you see a lot of places it's using a dynamic value or variables which is coming from the values.yaml. So if I go to values, you can see it's defined a lot of parameters here. So based on this is what the other files getting created, because for example it has defined the registry, repository for WordPress, the tag, right? So what's the image it has to download. So these values will be used into the deployment and services on all those things which is used in the template, and that will be used when we create our release. So we use the chart and we install it, so it will create a release for WordPress. So we'll talk about more of this when we create our application manually by ourselves, but these are already available in the artifact hub.io. So these are standard from Bitnami, the official package. Now what we need to do is to install WordPress. You just copy this, and let me clear out the screen. Let me run the command helm repo add, and we need to add the Bitnami repo. So it's already there, since I have used it before, it's already there. So the next step is you need to install WordPress. So I will use helm install, and I want to give a name for my release. So I will give the name as WordPress itself, and I will put the Bitnami WordPress chart. So let's run that. Now you can see it has completed the process, and it has given some information like, how you can access the WordPress using the URL. If it's asking for credential, you can use the credential using this command and all those things. Let me clear out the screen. Now what I want to show is like once we run this command, it has created a lot of things. So first thing is like if you get pods, you can see it has created two pods. One is for WordPress and one is for MariaDB, right? If I go to kubectl get deployments, you can see it has created one deployment for WordPress. Now if I go to kubectl get service, you can see it has created two services, one for WordPress and one for MariaDB, which is the internal cluster, and this is a load balancer. So now let me also show you the Kubernetes, the Helm which we have. So if I use Helm history WordPress, now you can see once we run the Helm install, it has created a revision 1 for our release. So it has deployed the WordPress 13.1.7 app version 5.9.2, and its installation is complete. And this is the revision 1. So it's the version 1 which has created. So next, if you make some changes, it will create a revision 2, and then again a revision 3. So it will go on like that. Now what you can see is like here, if you see, we have a load balancer. If you want to change to cluster IP, you can use some parameters which we spoke there. It has also created only one pod, right? It's not used replica set. So if you want to increase the replica, you can use some other parameters in that. So let me show you all those things. Before that, let me just show you the complete details over here. So you can see both the pods are running, and let me see kubectl get deployments. Now the deployment is also up, and kubectl get svc. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to check the WordPress through our web browser, right? So for that, since I'm using Minikube, I will use Minikube service WordPress. So it will give me the IP address, so I will use this one. I will go to my browser, and if I run this, now you can see the WordPress site is up, right? So this is the WordPress site as part of our Kubernetes cluster, and we have installed WordPress using our Helm chart. So this is a release 1 which is happening now. Now as part of this installation, it has also created some persistent volume. So you can see it has created two persistent volume, one with 10 gigabyte, another one 8 gigabyte, and it has also created some persistent volume claims. So you can see it has created two, one for MariaDB and one for WordPress. And it has also created, if you see, it has created one stateful set, which is the MariaDB. So it has created as a stateful set, so that is also there. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to the WordPress configurations. Now as I mentioned, there are a lot of parameters, right? So you can see there are parameters for changing WordPress username, a lot of things. Based on that, there are WordPress parameters like this. Now you can see if you want to change the replica count, you have parameters called replica count, and you can set equal to more than one, means that you can put as 2, 3, then it will set based on that. Now there are also other parameters like service type. So you can see this is more like load balancer by default. Now let me use this one, and I want to change this to load balancers to cluster IP, so that I don't want to expose this WordPress to outside. So I want to use it as a internal a cluster IP. So for that, what I will do is I will use Helm upgrade. So I want to change, and the name of our release is WordPress, right? And I want to set the parameters. So I want to set the service type equal to cluster IP, and I want to give the WordPress image. So I'm going to use the chart which is in the Bitnami WordPress. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Great, so it has completed that. Now if I go to kubectl, sorry, I will go to Helm, history, and WordPress. You can see it has created a revision 2, right? And it says like this is deployed and this is superseded. That means this is the current version and version 1 is the old one, right? So the upgrade completed. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to kubectl, get svc, the service. Now you can see the service has changed from load balancer to cluster IP, right? Now if I try to access this WordPress site in our browser, it will not be accessible. Now I want to roll back this to my older settings. So what I can do is I can use Helm rollback, and my release name is WordPress and revision 1, right? Now you can see rollback was successful and happy helming, right? So if I go to Helm, history, WordPress, you can see it has created another revision. So don't think that like if you roll back from 1 to 2, the 2 will be disappeared and it will be only 1. What will happen is it will create a new revision, and it has says like this is deployed and these 2 are superseded. But you can see the description, this is a rollback of the revision 1. So this is almost like 3 and 1 is almost like same. So once this is done, so if I go to kubectl get svc, you can see our type is again changed back to load balancer, right? So now you should be able to access your WordPress site again in the web browser, because we have changed the IP back to load balancer and it's accessible from the outside. Now if you want to delete the Helm, what you can do is Helm, not delete the Helm, you want to delete the release, so you can use Helm delete and the release name. So we can give the name as WordPress. Okay, so now our WordPress release is completely removed. So if I go to Helm history, WordPress, you don't have a release in that name at all. If I go to kubectl get ports, you don't have any ports. Kubectl get svc, you don't have the WordPress or other services as well. So once you delete, it will delete all the components, all the ports, all the services, deployment, and all those things which it has created based on the release. Now something which you need to aware, like if you even after this delete, it will not delete the volume claims and volumes. So you can see the persistent volume is still there, and the persistent volume is also still there. So you have to delete this manually. So what will happen is, like if you're using some cloud or some environment which will be charging you based on the usage, you unknowingly you will leave these things, like you may think like after Helm delete it will remove all the components, but this storage will still remain there, and this is going to charge you for the usage. So you have to be very careful, like you need to check all these things and you need to clean up if you don't want to use this persistent volume. So I will use kubectl delete pvc, and I will delete this one. And then I think it has deleted the PV as well. So you have to delete the persistent volume manually, otherwise it will be still there running. If you want to keep that as a backup, you can continue using that. If you don't want to, you can delete that manually, otherwise you will be charged if you are using some cloud environments which will be based on pay as you go, right? But if you are using your local setup, no issues, you can keep it there as far as you have enough space and you have enough memories and all those things. So I hope that is an interesting tutorial, right, where we have shown you how to use Helm charts, what is the structure of Helm, how the deployment, how these values are coming into that in the templates, which we will see on the upcoming tutorial, how to create our own Helm chart where we can configure all those things, and you can see like how you install the Helm chart using the command, what it will create. So now you see, if you want to do this manually, think about it, you need to create so much of manifest file like deployment, services, config map, secrets. You have to do a lot of work, and you need to use that to install your WordPress application, right? Whereas now you see just few clicks, a few commands, it has completely set up your overall WordPress application. You can just start using that. So that is all for this tutorial. So we have shown you how to install or provision your application, WordPress application, using Helm in Kubernetes. So if you want to see more videos like that, I would request you to subscribe to my channel and also like my videos, share, give your comment, give your feedback in this comment section. I would request you to share this with all your other colleagues, because it's free tutorials where I'm trying to share to the community. You can make use of it and others can as well. So thank you for watching.